Hi, guys. Just a reminder, we are talking about least cost theory and location theory. And so, where is the most cost effective places to put business so that businesses can maximize their profits? So, that's what we're looking at, also known as Weber's theory or Alfred Weber's theory. Um, yeah, so that's where we're at. And so there's that triangle where you have the market and you have labor and you have raw materials, and then you're going to put the factory or the production location somewhere in those places. Sometimes, like we're talking about here, an industry is really labor intensive. So I'm giving an example of Hollywood. Hollywood is really labor intensive. So I'm sure there's raw materials that go into, you know, acting, like set making probably requires wood and things like that. So those things are valuable, but you think about what is the biggest part of production of film or production of stage or production of TV. It is the talent, it's the actors. It would also be, people who, like camera people, those kind of people, but really it's the talent and the actors. And Hollywood, as well as New York, but we're just going to talk about Hollywood because it's close by. Hollywood is a cluster for where actors go and locate. And so let's say you wanted to be really cost effective and you're like, I'm going to start a movie company and I'm going to set it up in Oklahoma because, it's a lot cheaper to buy property in Oklahoma. And I bet there's great actors in Oklahoma. And so you try producing a movie in Oklahoma, you're going to run into a lot of problems in Oklahoma. Yes, the property is cheaper in Oklahoma, but the problems you're going to run into, like, you know, drawing the best talent, and then also finding the best support industries for your production, for example, like costumes or makeup design, or all these different things that they are perfecting in Hollywood. That's not in Oklahoma. So right away it's going to be really hard for you to be successful. So if you're going to be in the movie business, it's probably worth it to swallow the pill of very expensive stuff and just move to Hollywood to make your businesses. So that is when labor oriented businesses, you need that talent pool. So you're going to move to where that talent pool is. And that's going to be more important than anything else. So you think about like the market for a movie, that's all over the world, right? That medium gets sent all over the world. You're not looking to be close to the market. You don't need to be that close to raw materials, because while there is raw materials, that's not huge. What is huge in Hollywood is the actors and the people who are involved in it. Another industry that is a lot like this that is changing would be Silicon Valley. So Silicon Valley is located in the Bay Area, right near Stanford University. Stanford University is probably one of the top tech universities in the country, and so, and it was groundbreaking. It was one of the early tech universities in the country, and so it just became this magnet for anyone who's interested in working in tech. That's where they're going to go. They're going to go there and try to get a job. So you have that same kind of thing going there. All the support services for tech are going to be right there. And yeah, so those are some labor oriented businesses, but otherwise, just depending on the business, the raw materials may be even more important, or the market may be more important. And that goes back to that bulk gaining and bulk losing that we talked about. If it's bulk gaining, it's getting bigger. That is, you want to be close to the market. You've got a really large product, like a car, like an airplane. You want to be really close to the market, right? Okay, so another thing you need to know about is just-in-time delivery. So just-in-time delivery is primarily used by bulk gaining industries. For example, airplane production. There's a lot of parts to an airplane. And I'm going to make it really simplistic and just say the seats. Okay, so Boeing is an airline manufacturer, And they have a plant in Torrance, which is really near LAX. So they're building planes for LAX. And if they're not going to sell it to, an airline that's based in LAX, they can obviously fly it out of LAX to another area. So it's a really good hub to be by. And so that's why they have a location there. But they don't have all the parts, like the seats. They're not, land in LA is really expensive. And so they're not going to have all those parts at their business. So when they get ready for the seats, they're going to put an order and they'll be like, a couple days ahead. They'll be like, we're going to be ready for the seats in 2 days. Bring those seats down here. Or tomorrow, we need those seats. So that is just in time delivery where you are getting the supplies you need and you're not having to house them in your own plant production facility. Okay. So the next one is government. We need to talk about government. It's a really important part of business. ESPN, remember, economic, social, political, environmental are always aspects in everything. So economic business is really tied to economics, right? But we also have political, which is really important. So politics are really important. And there's treaties are something that is important. So NAFTA is a treaty you do need to know about. It's the North American Free Trade Agreement. And that agreement is an agreement between Canada, United States, and Mexico to not have tariffs. So tariffs are basically taxes on goods coming into the country. So if you have tariffs, for example, let's say there used to be, once upon a time, tariffs on the fruit grown in Mexico that would be brought into the United States. So let's say somebody is growing strawberries in Mexico and they want to import them into the United States, and they would be allowed, but it could maybe double the price. So now a basket of strawberries, which is $8, goes up to $16. Who's going to buy it? So you might as well just, buy them from local farmers. So those are tariffs. But back in the 90s, NAFTA became a treaty between the three countries to drop those tariffs and get rid of those tariffs. Now, when Trump was president, because he liked to change a lot of things, just, I don't know, he always said NAFTA was the worst deal ever. And so he came up with another treaty, which is basically NAFTA, but by a completely different name. It's called USMCA, US Mexico Canada Agreement, I think is what it stands for. And it's almost exactly the same as NAFTA. So it's really not any different. But I know your book has NAFTA. You could see a test question on USMCA because I think it is in effect now. So it could pop up. EU is another one. So EU is the European Union. They also have a tariff-free area. And so that's important because if you know that let's say you have your main headquarters in England, and then you want to open up a factory in Ireland because labor's cheaper. And you want to know that you can import your goods into England without a problem. So, so those tax breaks and those low tariffs are really important. Also, other tax breaks like governments do give companies incentives to set up. It was kind of funny. So Amazon is the richest company in the world right now. And every time they want to set up a new factory or headquarters, or not, I guess they're not really factories, they're just distribution centers. When they want to set up a new distribution center, they're looking for incentives. They want cities to pay them. And, it's not just Amazon. They all do this. They're all looking for cities to pay them to set up shop. And the reason cities do is because, or states or counties, the reason they will pay is because they think, okay, this is going to bring economic stimulus to our area. So it makes sense to pay Amazon, who is already insanely rich, more money to get them to set up shop here. And so then that's going to bring in jobs, and that's going to make packages come to our house faster, and like those. So they'll pay them. So that's one thing. And then another thing, this is the reason why there's not a lot of factories in Africa, is that there's a lot of corruption. And so even if labor is really cheap, because there's a lot of people living in poverty, if there's a lot of corruption, companies don't want to set up there because they figure, hey, the military might come in and take over my business, or gangs might come in and ransack my business, or any number of things. So businesses like there to be reliable rules. They like there to be law enforcement. This is a reason why China is really popular to do business with, because like they're not always like, as far as like the United States is concerned, sometimes they feel like their rules aren't always fair to the United States, but they are consistent. They are really strict. There's not a lot of wild stuff going on in China, as far as like, businesses being burned, or, having to pay off, the police or gangs, or, stuff like that. So, you're looking for a company to do business with that has some stability. Okay, our next idea that we're going to be looking at is Footloose Industries. So Footloose Industries are basically, it has nothing to do with the movie. If you've ever seen the movie, it has nothing to do with that. But Footloose Industries are when it's easy to move your company or your business. Like there's not a lot of like heavy capital involved with your business. So up until this year, I would have never said education is footloose, but look at us now. We're like doing everything remotely. We're using our computers. We can have a classroom anywhere, right? You could go on vacation and you could do class. So, you do have those options. And so it has become very footloose. More and more industries are going to become footloose because of laptops, because of Wi-Fi, because of, Bluetooth, because of all of these new inventions coming about are going to make more and more businesses footloose. So if I give you an example, a factory or a real estate office, which one is more footloose? Which one? The factory or the real estate office? It would be the real estate office, because you think about it, real estate, most of it's done online. Real estate agents, they've always, even when I was a girl, most of their business was done out of their car. Like that's the epitome of footloose. They do have offices, but anymore, they're almost antiquated. You almost don't even need an office for a real estate agent. So another thing to look at, so what would make an industry which could technically be footloose, but then it isn't footloose, is a client base. So if you look at a doctor or something, a doctor can pick up his stethoscope and move to another city pretty easily. Sometimes their offices don't have a ton of capital a lot of times. Especially if they don't have like X-ray machines and all that stuff. They're just a doctor's office, but they do build a client base. And so they have patients, and their patients have the expectation that they're going to be there. So they become a little less footloose because of that. Other things that need to be really close to the market are things like grocery stores, home improvement stores. Like they're going to be close to the market because, let's say you're close to the raw materials where the wood is, but there's nobody there to buy your wood. Like not very useful, right? So another industry that can be really flexible and footloose would be call centers. Now, these are becoming less and less common, but as many like robocalls as I get, maybe they're not. But most of the robocalls are all like electronic now. I don't know where this stuff is coming out of, right? I don't know if you guys get calls all the time that are like spam calls. But those are really footloose too. So you can actually um, you can have like call centers or, anytime, anything that you're going to be calling people or working on the computer, like tech support or, you're on a website and there's like that button that pops up, like the chat, like we can help you, that kind of stuff. That's really Footloose. It can be done anywhere. And, if you have a headquarters for a company, let's say Coca-Cola has headquarters in Atlanta, but they want to have like a customer helpline in case you find, I don't know, like a finger in your soda pop. They could have that customer helpline anywhere, right? Or they could have somebody anywhere analyzing emails that are coming in and checking emails, stuff like that. That can happen anywhere. This is where countries that maybe they don't pay as high a wages as the United States, for example, India, but English is a main language. So remember, English is one of the official languages of India. They can really do really well with this kind of Footloose work where they're like answering emails or tech calls or things like that. So, let's go on. Okay, so you're going to be creating a scenario with these terms. So the terms are in the book. You have front office, back office, outsourcing, and offshoring. Front office is like the main office. So think of the front office as like the principal's office, okay? And then the back office is like your support staff. So people who do accounting or they do data processing or, payroll, those are back office. And then outsourcing. So this is a movie that we used to watch in class all the time. And I don't know, it's been ages since I've been in class. So it's a little old. I think it's like probably like 2008 or something. So, or maybe even older than that, 2006. So it is older. And it's about a call center where people are like ordering stuff online and they call up to order it. Well, nobody does that anymore. Or they're ordering things out of a catalog. Like if you see something in the catalog, you go online and you just order it. You're not interacting with another human being. But back when this movie was made, people would call in and I want to order this and I want to order that. Okay. And so the movie's called Outsource because the headquarters of the company was originally in Seattle, and they had an office in Seattle that did that, what they called customer fulfillment. But they decided to outsource it over to India and put a company in India that's already established there in charge of that, that call center. And so that's the idea with outsourcing, is that you are, and it doesn't always have to be overseas. Like you can outsource locally. For example, the city of Norco, they have, and a lot of cities do this, like they used to have their own landscaping, and now they hire a landscaping company to come in and do any city landscaping. And it might be in Eastvale too, I'm not sure. Okay, so they have outsourced their landscaping. Now, offshoring, that one's a little different. This is when an American company goes into another company and opens a factory. And so that factory, 100% of that factory is owned by, for example, the American company. So they're not outsourcing to another company and saying, hey, can you build this for us? They're like full on, I don't know. Let's think of a company, an American company that builds stuff. Chevy. I'm blanking. So let's say Chevy opens up a factory in Portugal, and it's owned by Chevy. The employees are all employees of Chevy, but it's in Portugal. Okay, so that would be offshoring. And so it's kind of, outsourcing and offshoring often get confused. So they are really similar, but I have seen questions that have these two as answer choices. So you have to make sure you get the right one. Okay, so let's talk about the positives of industrialization. So this right here is a link to a video. I will post the video for you. I want you to watch the video. I'm going to give you a little summary of it though. It's a really good video. So be patient with it. The guy, it's a TED Talk and the guy is Swedish, so he's a bit of a Swedish accent, but I think it's fine. But he talks about how much the world has changed. And so I really do want you to watch that video. And in general, things are better than we think they are. Okay. And one of the reasons is industrialization. So industrialization has made the world really dirty. It has polluted the world. It's made it awful. But guess what? It's made it better for humans in so many ways. Okay, some things are worse. Yeah, like people do die of lung diseases from smog. We may all end up burning up one day because of global warming. I don't know. Like we may get flooded. Who knows? I don't know what's going to happen. I probably won't be around for it, or I'll be a very old lady. But it's been a very positive experience for human beings, for the most part, because more and more people have risen out of the most desperate situations in life because of the Industrial Revolution. So just like the Green Revolution brought enough food for people, the Industrial Revolution made it so life wasn't quite so miserable, and it continues to improve. So we're now down to 1/7 of the world living in abject poverty. Okay, that's still a lot of people. It's a billion people, but it's not as bad as we think it is. It's actually a lot better than our natural instincts. Okay, so when you do that video, I do want you to answer his questions. He has some like multiple choice questions. I want you to answer them. It's okay if you get them wrong. Elmer, I'm talking to you because you always freak out when you get something wrong. It's okay if you get them wrong. I want you to go ahead and just accept that you got them wrong. It's okay that you wrote them down and you got them wrong. You can correct them with the right answers. That's fine. But you're like doing this like little test at the beginning, and then he's going to go through and give you all the right answers and talk to you about them. So anyway, that's it. I'll see you guys later. Bye.